The late afternoon sun hung low over Thornhill Estate, casting the long driveway in a warm, amber light as I turned through the gates. My car was overflowing with boxes, souvenirs, paperwork, fragments of the 6 months I had spent in Singapore. Returning home should have felt reassuring, even comforting. But when the keypad blinked red after my third try, that sense of ease slipped away. I tried again. Nothing. The gate refused to budge. The air suddenly felt dense, almost oppressive as I dialed my sister. "Victoria," I said, keeping my voice steady but tense. "The code isn't working." There was a pause. "It's been too long," she admitted finally. "We changed it," she said without warning me. Silence followed, stretching long enough to make me nervous. "We need to talk. Can you meet for coffee tomorrow?" "I'm at the gate right now," I replied, glancing at the trunk crammed with my belongings. Another pause, gentler this time. "Then fine. Give me a minute." The metal gates groaned open, the familiar sound oddly foreign after so many years. I drove up the familiar path, passing the old oaks that still leaned toward one another like silent guardians. The fountain my mother had adored glimmered in the sunlight, pretending nothing had changed. Victoria's SUV sat parked near the porch, alongside Dad's aging truck and a locksmith's van, its rear doors wide open and tools scattered inside. I pulled up next to the steps and stepped out. Through the broad windows, movement everywhere caught my eyes. Victoria's 3 children darted through the halls, their laughter echoing in the space that had once been quiet. Marcus, 14, lugged boxes upstairs. The twins squabbled near the foyer, voices bouncing off the walls. Victoria appeared on the porch, composed as ever, her face deliberately neutral. "You changed the gate code," I said, keeping my voice calm but firm. She crossed her arms. "The security system needed updating," she said briskly. "And I didn't think to tell you. You've been gone for 6 months, I said, stepping forward, but she remained firmly in place. "We should talk here first," she said quickly. "Why?" "That's what needs discussion," she replied. Before I could respond, Dad emerged from the screen door, wiping his hands on a rag. "Sophia," he said, surprised. "You're back early." "My contract ended as scheduled," I said carefully. "Why wouldn't I be?" He hesitated. "Well, your sister and I have been talking." "About what?" "About the estate," Victoria interjected before he could continue. "About what's best for the family." Through the doorway, I noticed the locksmith fastening a new deadbolt. One of the twins ran past carrying a stuffed bear. "Why is there a locksmith here?" I asked. "Security upgrades," Victoria answered swiftly. "The old locks were original." "And why the chaos inside? Are your kids living like they own the place?" "Because we're moving in for good," she said. I looked at Dad, expecting a laugh. But he didn't. He gazed down at the porch floor. "The house is too big for Dad alone," Victoria continued. "He's 72, Sophia. He needs family around him. My marriage ended. The kids need stability. This arrangement works for everyone." "Everyone?" I asked softly. "Yes," she repeated, smiling as if she truly believed it. "Dad gets company, the children get space, and her tone sharpened. "You've been away half a year. Before that, Boston for 2 years. Before that, New York. You visit twice a year at most. I grew up here, Sophia. This was my home, too." Dad spoke quietly, almost apologetically. "She's right, she's here. She takes care of me. You just visit. So I'm being pushed out?" "Don't be dramatic," Victoria said. "You have your own life, your career. You don't need this place. But we do. Yes, Dad does. The children do." "Where's my stuff?" "In boxes," she said flatly. "In the guest cottage. You can collect it anytime." "You packed my room without asking," I pointed out. "You weren't here," she replied evenly. Finally, Dad met my gaze. "It's time to move on, Sophia. You're 35. You have your own life. This house, it's for family." "I am family," I said, my voice rising for the first time. "Not as a resident," Victoria cut in coldly. "You can visit for holidays, but this is our home now." The locksmith handed her a ring of keys. She pocketed them without looking at me. "You should go," she said. "We have unpacking to do." Dad turned, heading back inside. For a moment, I watched him disappear down the hall that once led to Mom's library. Then I smiled, quiet and deliberate. In my purse, I held a document I had carried for 5 years. Interesting, I murmured. Victoria frowned. What's interesting? The timing. The assumptions, I said softly. I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I hadn't used in months. Thornhill Estate Security Dispatch speaking. This is Sophia Bennett, I said, my voice steady. I need a team at the main house immediately. Unauthorized occupants and lock changes. Victoria's face went pale. What are you doing? My job, I said simply. As the owner, she barked a laugh. Dad owns this estate. No, I said evenly. I do. The dispatcher's voice came through, calm and professional. Confirmed, Miss Bennett. You are listed as the primary owner. Would you like law enforcement present? Not yet, I replied. Just send the team with the master key system. Dad appeared at the door, confusion clouding his face. Sophia, what's going on? When was the last time you paid property taxes? I asked. He blinked. Victoria handles that. I turned to her. And when was the last time you paid them? She said nothing. I've been paying them for 5 years, I said evenly. $38,000 annually, plus insurance, maintenance and security. Who did you think covered all that? The estate account, Dad muttered. It's always handled that. That account ran dry 3 years after Mom died, I said quietly. 2 black SUVs turned into the driveway, their headlights slicing through the fading light. The security team stepped out in precise formation. Dad, tell them to leave, Victoria demanded. But Dad just stared at me, realization dawning. The documents you had me sign. Those were transfer papers? Yes, I said softly. Mom left the estate to me. She wanted to make sure it was cared for. I've been paying every bill, keeping this place alive while you all thought it was automatic. The lead officer approached. Miss Bennett, we received your alert. Who changed the locks? My sister and father, I said. They're residents, but unauthorized to alter security systems. He nodded. We'll rekey everything. Do you want a new access list? Victoria's voice shook. You can't do this. Dad lives here. And he's welcome to stay, I replied, meeting her eyes. Under his life estate clause. The officer's assistant looked up from his tablet. Confirmed. Deed transfer from Margaret Bennett to Sophia Bennett. Recorded 5 years ago. David Bennett holds a life estate. Dad sank onto the porch step. A life estate, he whispered. It means you're safe, I said gently. You can live here as long as you want. No one can remove you. But the property itself belongs to me. Victoria's face twisted in disbelief. This is insane. You tricked him. Everything was legal, I said calmly. His attorney was present. Mom's will was clear. The only person who didn't know was you. Because it wasn't your business. Not my business, she snapped. This is my home. No, Victoria, I said, my tone sharp but controlled. It's my property. You've been living here rent-free, eating from grocery accounts I fund, using utilities I pay for. You just never asked where the money came from. The locksmith hesitated until the officer showed him my ownership papers. That ended the debate. Marcus appeared in the doorway, confusion on his young face. Mom? What's happening? Victoria's eyes filled with tears. Your aunt is kicking us out. I'm doing no such thing, I said. But we are setting boundaries. Dad stays here. You and the kids can use the guest cottage if you choose. But this house, this is my property. The guest cottage, she gasped. We can't fit in there. Then you'll need to find somewhere else, I said quietly. You have 30 days. 30 days? Where am I supposed to go? You're resourceful, I said. You figured out how to change my locks after all. Dad rose slowly, his voice tired. Sophia, this is harsh. Your sister just left her husband. She'll have stability, I said softly. But not at the cost of taking what isn't hers. Not by locking me out of my own home. I turned to the team. Finish resetting the access codes. Keep the master key secure. Already done, ma'am, the officer replied. Victoria turned to Dad, desperation in her voice. Are you really going to let her do this? He rubbed his face, staring at the ground. It's her property, Vicky. Apparently, it has been for 5 years. She was never even here. And yet, he said quietly, she paid for everything. Every single thing. While I sat here thinking the estate ran itself, I reached into my purse, pulling out the deed, the transfer papers, the life estate clause, and handed them to Dad. Mom wanted you protected, I said gently. She wanted you to have a home for as long as you needed it. That's why she left the estate to me. Not because she loved you less, but because she knew I'd make sure you were cared for. He read the paper slowly, his hands trembling. And in the stillness that followed, the estate seemed to breathe again, quiet, steady, and finally mine. Yes, he said, and I remembered clearly. The lawyer had told me it was to protect me. And it had. Still did. You can stay here as long as you want. That's your right. But Victoria, she's welcome as a guest. Her children too as guests. But they don't get to learn my codes or claim this house while I'm working overseas to keep it running. The twins appeared next to Marcus. All 3 children looked uneasy. Moments ago they'd been excited about their new rooms. Now they seemed unsure why security was stationed around the house and why the adults were arguing. I softened my tone. The guest cottage is actually quite comfortable. 3 bedrooms, a full kitchen, a living room. Victoria and the kids would fit perfectly. Victoria wiped her tears. I thought this was family property. I thought we all had an equal claim. Family doesn't mean equal ownership, I explained. It means equal love, equal respect. But you didn't give me that. You changed the locks, packed up my things, told me I wasn't welcome, all while living here on my dime. Dad handed me back the paperwork. I'm sorry. I should have asked more questions. You were grieving and Victoria was helping. I trusted that you cared from a distance, but now everyone knows the truth. Boundaries are clear. We know what's real and what's assumed. The security team finished their work and handed me the keys. The master keys to my own property. Keys I'd never held before because I'd never needed them. Victoria gathered the children. Come on, let's head to the cottage. Can we still use the pool? One of the twins asked. I glanced at Victoria and the children. Yes, the pool and gardens are open to you. You're welcome to have dinner with Grandpa in the main house. But you'll sleep in the cottage, and remember, this isn't your property. After they left, Dad and I sat on the porch steps. The security team packed up, their job complete. I feel like a fool, Dad admitted. You're not a fool, I said. You trusted your children. That's not foolish. I just let Victoria convince me you didn't care about this house. You always cared, just from a distance. That's different from not caring. Will you stay now that you're back? He asked. I thought of my city apartment, the consulting work that took me around the world, the life I'd built outside Thornhill. Sometimes, I said, I'll keep things running, pay the bills, and make sure you're taken care of, like I always promised Mom I would. He put an arm around my shoulders. She chose wisely, he said softly. Inside the house, I saw my old bedroom. Victoria's daughter had been moving in. Tomorrow, everything would shift to the guest cottage. My room would belong to me again whenever I chose to reclaim it. But tonight I'd likely sleep in the city. Owning the house wasn't the same as feeling at home. The security leader approached one last time. Miss Bennett, all records are updated. You're confirmed as primary contact and owner. Any unauthorized changes will be reported immediately. Thank you, I said. Dad and I walked through the house. Victoria had already made changes. New furniture, different curtains. A kid's playroom in what was once Mom's study. Some of this can stay, I said, if it makes the house more comfortable for you. But any major changes need my approval. Understood, she said. And Dad, I added, you can live here as long as you want. That's not up for negotiation. Mom made sure of it, and I will too. He nodded, emotion thick in his voice. Your mother was wise. She was. She knew how to protect the people she loved. Through the window, I saw Victoria and the children moving into the guest cottage. It would be cramped, far from the spacious rooms they'd claimed, but generous considering what they'd attempted. My phone buzzed. A message from Victoria. I'm sorry. I really thought Dad owned this place. I replied. Assumptions are expensive now. She didn't respond. Standing in my old bedroom, I looked at the boxes Victoria had packed. My childhood, my memories, hastily stuffed by someone who thought I didn't belong. But I did. Not because I lived here, but because I owned it. I maintained it. Mom trusted me with it. The estate was mine. Always had been. And now finally everyone knew it.